Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
Providence VA Medical Director Lawrence Connell joins me in studio. Nice to have you back. You were in last Memorial Day. We're talking about progress made at the hospital. Since then, you're building a new mental health center. That's a very hot topic this week.
It is, and thanks for having me, Gene. It's always great to be on your show and get the word out to our veterans. So we opened up a brand new mental health facility last year, but we're getting ready for phase two, which is another building, and we hope to break ground on that just after the summer starts. So that's going to be built within the next year.
Because demand is up.
Demand is up.
And demand is up why?
Variety of reasons. I mean, certainly our number one priority for veterans is veteran suicide. We want to bend that needle down on veteran suicides throughout the nation. The good news is the VA is an enterprise, almost a 10% reduction in veteran suicides since 2022. So that's good news. The VA is doing something right. We're moving that needle down on veteran suicides.
Now, is this a center? Well, there's two parts to this center. Do you go there for mental health counseling, or can you stay there? Do you have beds there? Can you house a vet who needs specific care?
So, not at the new facilities that we're building. That's just counseling and one-on-one counseling with a mental health provider. However, we do have an inpatient mental health ward as well for long-term care.
So that's been there for a while?
That's been there for a long time.
Now, the other hospitals are struggling. Every bed is taken with mental health involving a lot of kids and things like that. In fact, there's so many that Butler is full.
Right.
So they can't. The kids that would normally go to Butler are being held at the hospitals. This has been an issue for you. Are you full? Are all your beds taken for mental health?
It fluctuates. Sometimes we're full. Sometimes we'll have a couple extra beds available. I mean, it really fluctuates day by day, actually.
Right.
We hope to expand additional beds there in the future to take care of our veterans. But right now, I think today we are not full. But tomorrow could be a different answer.
Full psychiatric team?
Full psychiatric team.
Psychiatrist, psychologist, prescription, medication, whatever you need.
I have over 150 mental health providers at the Providence VA healthcare system.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about, a lot of people see the building. And a lot of these VA medical centers, they're up on a hill.
Sure.
I don't know if that's a function of by design, but I see them on the hill, especially when you go to Connecticut. There's a big one on the right as you get down 95. Yours is kind of perched up on a rise. And it was because we wanted to treat our veterans right, coming back from war. We wanted a specific place for them to go to get the care they needed. Over time, that mission has changed, morphed, evolved, what?
I would say it has certainly changed for the better, but it's certainly morphed. I mean, we have expanded services way beyond just the initial services that the VA served when they stood up. I mean, we have a litany of services that we provide veterans, anywhere from mental health to inpatient to primary care to partner violence, all kinds of programs that the VA extends to veterans.
So if a veteran has a sore throat, doesn't feel well, wants to go see a doctor, he goes to you.
Sure.
Primary care.
Primary care.
If he has serious other problems, surgical needs, he goes to you.
Correct.
When does he not go to you? When you can't handle a certain specific procedure? Certain cancer treatments? When does he not go to you?
So we do treat cancer at Providence.
I meant specific, detailed procedures. When does he not go to you?
So, for example, like you said, services we don't offer. We don't do open heart surgery.
Right.
And we wouldn't have the volume to justify open heart surgery. So, but we will pay for that veteran to go to Rhode Island Hospital to get that heart surgery, or up to our Boston VA to that open heart surgery. So in answer to your question, if we don't provide the service and the veteran's eligible for that care, we'll pay for that veteran to get that care somewhere else.
And up in Boston, they have a heart unit up there?
They do.
Well, that's
interesting. Boston VA, they sure do.
A lot of our people go there?
They sure do.
Interesting. Now, with regard to cancer treatments, what can you do here? What can you not do here?
Sure, we have chemotherapy at Providence. We can do that. We don't typically do radiation therapy. We'll send that somewhere else. But we've got a full suite of infusion right here at the Providence VA Medical Center. We'll take care of your chemotherapy needs.
Dialysis?
We do dialysis. We have a great dialysis unit. Beautiful, brand new dialysis unit we just opened up last year. State of the art. Probably the nicest dialysis center I've ever seen in my life. It's big open space with big giant windows for sunshine to come into the veterans. Each little chair has their own TV. The chair massages the veteran while they're undergoing dialysis.
Why not? Give them the best. Give them the best.
They deserve it.
The notion or the mission was, and correct me if my historical understanding is accurate, coming back from war.
Correct.
The hospitals that were built couldn't handle so many patients coming back from war, so the government built its own system. Am I correct in that?
That's correct. That's correct. Most states, there's a couple that do not have a medical center, but most states have at least one medical. Some have three.
Right.
Massachusetts has three. Rhode Island, because we're a pretty small state, we only have one.
Right. You know, there's been so much talk of privatizing. Does the mission of a standalone government-run hospital system like the VA still merit consideration and funding, or can we just I'll send you to a hospital, and the tab will be on the taxpayer, but you go to Kent or you go to Rhode Island or wherever?
That's a great question, and I think you mentioned that last time I was on your show. The answer is, today, we are still cheaper than it would be if we sent veterans all to the private sector to get their health care. So it's value added for the taxpayer. As far as let veterans be treated inside VA hospitals, we're still cheaper than we would be if we sent them to the economy.
That's the user end. The provider end, the doctors who work there, do they work specifically for you, or do you subcontract? Do they come in? I have patients at the VA. I also have patients elsewhere. How does that work?
Both. So we have our cadre of full-time doctors, nurses. However, some doctors, depending on their specialty, may do half their time at Rhode Island Hospital, for example, or Merriam, for example, and the other half at the VA. So we call them 0.5 FTE. Right. So they do both. How
do they get compensated? Because, you know, it's a thing that doctors talk about in Rhode Island. We're not paid as well as the Boston guys, and we want more, compensation. You've heard this.
Sure, I have. I hear it all the time. It's not just doctors. It's nurses as well.
Nurses are tough to get.
Sure. We pay pretty good. Do we pay as much as other hospitals in the area? By law, there are some pay caps. No one can make more than the Vice President of the United States by law.
Okay.
So the most I can pay a neurologist is, like $400,000.
Okay.
So what they do is they'll typically do time at the Providence VA and time at another hospital, so they get compensated.
Now, $400,000 is a lot on money. But
for me, it is.
but comparatively, there are doctors who can make that,
all day long.
All day long.
A radiologist on the outside makes the better part of $1 million a year.
So that's a consideration.
It sure is.
We also want to make the experience as easy as possible for a veteran. Toward that end, you have new parking facilities.
We do.
You just want to make it a service provider, right? They want to. They have to like going there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we make it easy for the veteran. Not only do we have a brand new parking garage, so there's plenty of parking available. Now we also have valet parking, Gene, and we don't charge the veteran a dime for it. In fact, you're not even allowed to tip the valet parkers at the Providence VA. So pull your car up, we'll park it for you. You go to your appointment, take care of it, and we'll bring your car back when you're done.
How's the food? If I'm hospitalized in your hospital, how's the food?
So the inpatient food's great. We got a brand new program. Glad you asked that. We just hired some new dietitians. We just started this new program where you can order off a menu on what you want to eat as an inpatient.
Yeah.
The quality of the food is fantastic.
All right. Well,
as an inpatient.
That's good to know. A couple of pieces of legislation you're drawing my attention to. The Compact Act.
Yep.
This goes back to what we started talking about, veterans, suicide, mental health, correct?
Sure. So the Compact Act just started this year. Really, really good act. Again, we're trying to bend that needle on veteran suicide. What the Compact Act allows veterans to do, if you're a veteran in crisis, let's say you live down in Westerly, for example, we don't want you to have to, if you're in crisis, drive an hour north to Providence, come to our ED. Go to any emergency room you want. If you're a veteran in crisis, we'll pay the bill. And we'll pay the bill for up to 30 days as an inpatient at Westerly Hospital, for example, and we'll pay for 90 days of outpatient care.
This is in-crisis mental health care.
Correct.
So go to your local place. We'll cover it.
Go wherever you want to go.
Or go to Providence if you want.
We prefer you come to Providence, but we understand sometimes it's not practical.
All right. Also, the PACT Act.
Sure.
This has to do with burn pits, service overseas, making sure that we cover people who are exposed to chemicals.
Correct. So the PACT Act, also known as the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson Act, which was a National Guardsman who died as a result of his exposure to burn pits, has really opened up the aperture on additional health care benefits and disability benefits for veterans. And it adds 20 presumptive conditions. Now, what's that mean? For example, if you were downrange and you were exposed to burn pits and you came back and you have asthma, you need only come to the VA and say, I'm going to file a claim for asthma, and as long as you have asthma, there's no questions asked. You'll get that presumptive condition. You'll be eligible for health care benefits as well as disability benefits as a result of that exposure.
All right. Well, listen, you run it, so you must hear people complaining, people praising you. What's the complaint you hear? What would you like to get around the fixing if you could?
So I will tell you this, and we're very proud. It's a great team at Providence. They're really dedicated to the mission. They believe in the mission. They want to take care of veterans. I will tell you this. that our V-Signal scores, which is our surveys we give veterans on how they thought the care was at Providence, 94% of the veterans trust the care they get at the Providence VA. We're pretty proud of that, and that's because of a very dedicated, mission-driven team there at Providence.
All right, and what's the but? Well, but you must get some complaints.
Sure,
too.
sure.
I mean, sometimes I hear them. Do you have to wait sometimes?
Sometimes there's a wait. Sometimes they may not get the medication they want. They want the brand name medication versus generic medication.
Sure.
I mean, sure, I'll get some complaints. Sure.
Right, but you're most proud of?
I would say that the veterans trust the care they get at Providence. I'm really proud of that.
Interesting. What's on tap for Memorial Day?
Oh, great, thanks. So I'll be involved with, on Friday at Fort Adams in Newport, the Boots on the Ground ceremony, which, my personal opinion, is one of the most moving and inspirational ceremonies I've seen that recognizes veterans. And that's put on by the Eric Wallen's group down there, Operation Stand Down.
Right.
They do a great job. That's at Fort Adams, 6 o'clock. We just did a memorial ceremony in our chapel at the Providence VA, and on the 29th of this month at Noddy Park, we'll be registering veterans for care after the Memorial Day parade there.
And I know you're going to be with Director Kasim Yarn from the Veterans. He's the Veterans Affairs in Rhode Island. And I've had him on the radio, and he always says it's very important for veterans to make sure they have the right discharge form verified, so you can access your benefits.
Correct.
Is that the same with the VA?
You
need to have your paperwork in order to make sure you can get in, so we can give you the services you deserve.
Your ticket for admission, if you will, is your DD form 214. So you have to have that to prove that you were a veteran. Otherwise, anybody off the street come in and say, I was a veteran. Well, you need to prove that, please. Show us that form. If you get that form, you've opened up the world.
Come on in. And do you have vets who don't avail themselves of services they're entitled to?
We do.
And why is that? They just never got around to it. It's
Variety
not
of
for
reasons.
them. What do they say?
They may not be informed on the services available. Other veterans, they might have their own health care. Or their spouse has health care that covers them, so they don't have a need for the VA. So there's a variety of reasons why they don't come in.
And if I have you back next year, what are you looking forward to telling me? What's the project under construction? What do you need? What's the progress if you have it back in a year's time?
So I'm hoping that next time I come on your show that we'll be able to talk about a brand new MRI tower being built at the Providence VA, which is going to give us 2 additional MRI machines. That's obviously, MRI machines are in big demand. We're going to have 2 additional at Providence, so I hope to talk about that. Sans any kind of construction delays, but hopefully that's the big one we're looking forward to.
And again, that form that they have to have filled out is the DD
214.
DD 214. That's the key that unlocks all the benefits.
That's your ticket to admission. Sure is.
Well, thanks for coming in. Good luck at the hospital for the next year.
Thanks, Gene. Thanks for having me.